Cool. So, good afternoon, everybody, or morning, depending on where you're joining from. And my name is Aaron Epps, and I'm filling in today for Wheezy Pond Little Elk. I am very sorry that you're stuck with me instead of Wheezy. Wheezy is an incredible leader and visionary who leads our work on the Rosebud Reservation, but hopefully I can do an adequate job of filling in today, and I know Matt's got a lot to talk about as well.
Yeah. Hamida Kepi, Matthew Wilson Macheplo, Chante Washtiana Pitches Uplo. Hi everyone, my name is Matt Wilson. I am a member of the Sicangu Oyate, also known as the Rosebud Sioux Tribe. We're coming in from Mission, South Dakota today. So yeah, I am the Food Sovereignty Director at Sicangu Community Development Corporation. It is a 501c3 Native-led nonprofit. And like I said, we are located on the homelands of the Sicangu Oyate in South Dakota. Our mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and build relationships. So, we're so excited to be here today. Like Aaron had said, a little bit bummed that Wheezy wouldn't be able to make it today, but Aaron will be able to step in today. So,
yeah. So a little bit about us. We work together through an ecosystem of organizations, and the parent organization is REDCO, which is the Rosebud Economic Development Corporation. And REDCO is actually a part of the Rosebud Sioux tribal government. It's an entity of the tribe. And so at the end of the day, we work for the people of the Sicangu Oyate, as Matt said, so the people of Rosebud. So we're very much a community-based and community-driven organization. And a lot of the work that we're going to talk about today has come from the result of community surveys and figuring out what those needs and desires of the people are. And so as we mentioned, there's three different organizations. REDCO on the one side is more of the business development arm, but over time it became clear that there was going to be a need for work in different kind of community development areas. And so Matt leads up our food efforts there, but we've also got initiatives in housing, health, and education. And so what we're really trying to do is kind of piece together all the different parts of the puzzle to be able to really put a dent in the food and agriculture system in our both locally and around our region. And so Matt, yeah, maybe at this point I'll turn it over to you to talk a little bit about your program.
yeah. So like Aaron had said, we are kind of focusing on 4 areas: housing, health, education, and food. We identified food as the area where we felt the most prepared to put a major dent in the current system. In 2014, we launched a community needs assessment. So there's 20 communities on Rosebud where we went around and kind of get an idea of like what are the needs in terms of food that the people have. So one of the top 2 things were farmers markets and community gardens. So in 2014, we launched the Food Sovereignty Initiative, and we worked to spark a prairie fire food sovereignty movement to indigenize our food system here in Rosebud. So one of the ways we do that is we have a 1-acre teaching and production garden. It's called Wolokotta Gardens. Transitioning to Three Sisters Farm, we incorporated more bees and chickens. And so we focus more on small scale and regenerative farming practices. So like I said, the 1-acre side, we have a 42-foot geodesic greenhouse. And we're also experimenting this year with caterpillar tunnels to be more, for more seasonal extension. But also at our farm, we have the largest summer internship program on the reservation. Our summer garden internship hosts usually about 15 to 18 youth during the summer to complete a 10-week internship program with us, learning about different areas around farming and ag, but also traditional food knowledge as well. So we go on a lot of wild food harvests, and then we do some skill shares around making medicines or using them in different recipes. The produce that we grow feeds into our seasonal harvest market, the Sicangu Harvest Market. It's located in the town of Mission. And it's the only farmers market within 50 miles in any direction of us. And so just a little bit of background, we kind of started, a few years ago with having 1 or 2 vendors at the most at a farmers market. And it growing, from this year and last year to having about 15 vendors. And I would say about 10 of them are there regularly. So it's pretty awesome when you go there. It's a, great community piece for us. A lot of people really expect it every year. And other than produce too, a lot of people come and sell crafts and different value added goods, and then hot foods as well. So it's a really, it's become a really big part of our community. And so we're excited to, grow that every year. And then with that too, we have a mobile market component as well. This year we launched the mobile market to travel to 16 out of the 20 communities in Rosebud. We were able to secure a grant to purchase a cargo van, and also fund a feasibility study around a mobile grocery store. So we're kind of using this mobile market as a way to kind of test what are the different markets and different items that people are wanting in their communities. And we're specifically targeting outlying communities where tribal members have to travel 20 to 40 miles round trip just to get to a grocery store. Yeah. And so we do source products from local and regional producers as well as our own produce as well. And we're also buying grocery store items as well, just to test and see, what's going to sell. I know people have a lot of needs for more than just produce too, so we're just trying to test those items out as well. We also host a beginning farmer and rancher program. We call it Wa Ichachya Ichagapikte. So for any tribal members who are interested in becoming beginning farmers or ranchers, we have a 1-year internship where they commit to 100 hours of like classroom style learning around business planning, financial literacy, agriculture, and then they also have to complete an 800-hour on-farm component as well, getting the hands-on skills to become a producer. So we are in our 2nd year now. We just finished the year up, our 1st year, and then we'll be recruiting for 9 positions. So with that, we identified that program as being one of our main areas of improvement. We are hoping to grow more producers to be able to fuel this food system that we're trying to grow. Apart from that too, we also have online cooking classes and fruit prep classes as well. Before the pandemic, we used to do in-person cooking classes with the Boys and Girls Club here on the reservation, and but because of that, we had to transition to doing it online, unfortunately. But it's still a great program. We really enjoy doing it every week. We're always just trying to like have people learn more about how to cook, produce and sneaking in vegetables and different recipes. So it's been really fun. And this year we also launched our pilot TSA, Tribally Supported Agriculture. So we have 9 shares or 8 shares, I believe. We're hoping to expand next year to offer a bigger range of products and more shares as well. So we're really taking this, we're wrapping up the season, but we're really taking this time to kind of get our bearings and learn. So so that's kind of what we do.
I was gonna say, Matt, like it's incredible. Like I know I work for the organization, but just to like hear you list everything, like there's just so like almost an unfathomable amount of things going on. So if folks have questions, we would certainly welcome that. We'd be happy to answer any of those. But I think what I'm hearing, Matt, is that like, we're doing great work within our silo, but trying to really kind of be that domino that can really knock over to start, with the internship, like you said, the most intern of anywhere, and in a place where there's not always a lot of other opportunities. So that's really cool to be doing the education side. And then I was wondering to tie back to the mobile market, could you talk a little bit about like how spread out, just so folks have an idea of like how rural parts of Rosebud are and why a mobile market is such an important community service?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, there's 20 communities, and From like Rosebud, there's like one of the farthest outlying communities is Milks Camp, which is about, I think 70 miles, to the east of us. And there's only 3 grocery stores, 2 of them in the main, town of Mission. That's only one community. And so, like I said, there's 2 of the communities have to travel 40 miles round trip to get to one of these grocery stores. And a lot of the times at these grocery stores, the produce isn't very good quality. You go there and some of the things aren't kind of already like on the downside of like their shelf life, and there also just isn't a lot of options that are, it's not really affordable, leaving people to have to choose convenience foods or more of the processed foods too. So
yeah, Rosebud altogether is close to 1 million acres, and so to have only 3 grocery stores, we've definitely important to have that. And then just to take another step back, so like food sovereignty, I know we've talked in the past about like how you define food sovereignty. So how do you define food sovereignty as the director of the program?
yeah, good question. So there's like the bigger, generalized food sovereignty, I guess, description or definition. But for me, I think it really comes down to choice, being able to be empowered and have that, power to make your choice and like what you're eating, rather than just like, this is, the current reality and I kind of just have to live like that. I don't believe that. I think we can change it. So I believe it all comes down to, empowerment and our choice to say like what we want to have in our food system and how we want to run it. So yeah, that's where I would say is that choice.
And I guess one other question is kind of how do you see, so obviously there's the health benefits, but how do you see your program like strengthening Lakota identity or lifeways and traditions and things of that nature?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of, there's a big piece of our culture that we, part of our knowledge around traditional foods hasn't been passed down. There's a lot of people who don't know how to use, traditional foods anymore. So one of the things that we want to do is do more of our buffalo harvest, do more of our wild food harvest. And so we launched that this year, doing a traditional foods programming. So we work with different community food leaders to, host these wild food harvests and these skill shares around like choke cherry patty making, dehydrating squash, making bapa. There's all these different things that we're having to relearn. And so I think there's a big piece of that, that knowledge that's part of our identity. And so we're just trying to make sure that we do what we can do to make sure that we learn that, type of education and that information, and then also passing that down as well. Awesome.
Well, I think like Matt mentioned right in there, one of the important kind of cultural and traditional knowledge aspects of the food sovereignty initiative is a buffalo harvest and all of the different aspects that go with that. So that might be a good time to transition into kind of the second portion of our talk today, which is kind of to highlight one of these ecosystem projects that we're working on right now, which is the Wolokotta Buffalo Range. And so Wolokotta is a 28,000 acre cattle to bison conversion. And so it takes we've got a 28,000 acre property on tribal land. And traditionally that piece of land has not been under control of tribal entities. It's been leased out to farmers and ranchers. And so to non-native farmers and ranchers, I should say. And a study recently found that as much as 80% of revenue generated on agriculture land in Rosebud goes to non-native producers. And so we feel like this project is a huge opportunity to change that narrative and that fact, but also have a number of other impacts too. So Wolokotta, 28,000 acres, buffalo. At that land mass, we'll be able to get up to about 1,500 head of buffalo, which would make us the largest native owned and managed buffalo range herd in the entire world. And so super excited about just that project and all of the impacts that it can have. And so when we talk about impacts, we've got the kind of the obvious environmental impact that returning a keystone species to the prairie that's been missing for generations can have by increasing biodiversity, strengthening the grasslands, increasing carbon capture, all those different things that indigenous knowledge kind of has known for generations, but now Western science is kind of trying to catch up to that. And so, we see this project as being kind of, at the convergence of those two things. We are working with some organizations to go out there and do measurements and to be able to measure, soil carbon levels and things like that, so that we have the data to back up our story. There's also the social and cultural benefits, which, are huge. So at 1,500 head of buffalo per year, or at 1,500 head capacity, we'll have about 300 to 400 surplus animals per year. And so, some of those will have to be go into the marketplace in order to sustain the project. But a good portion of those will also be able to turn around and be used for benefit to the community. And so, kind of how that could potentially work is if we're selling a meat product in Denver or, New York City, where we can kind of have our target market be a premium, a customer who's willing to pay a premium. Some of those profits can be reinvested and used to subsidize a local distribution market. And so, we might be able to have other customers be paying $10 a pound where we can sell it to local tribal citizens for $2 a pound. And so that's a really exciting aspect. And then also kind of as Matt mentioned earlier, the harvest. And so that ceremonial kind of coming of age harvest is something that has, marks a milestone in a young person's life. And then also having that knowledge to be able to tan the hide and use each of the parts of the buffalo as they have been for generations. And so there's definitely some knowledge and cultural aspects that we feel we can strengthen that relationship, because at the end of the day, and this is where we're really going to miss Wheezy, and I'm going to have to do my best to fill in, but at the end of the day, the Lakota people are Buffalo people. And so as Wheezy says, when the Buffalo are strong, the Lakota people will be strong. And so this is really a huge opportunity to be able to strengthen that relationship and to be able to humanely and in a culturally responsible way raise the buffalo, manage the buffalo, and that's really going to strengthen the prairie ecosystem, but also the relationship between the different oyates or species. And so obviously just a really huge undertaking to be able to try to establish the largest buffalo herd. And just a year ago, this project was kind of just still an idea, just planting the seed in people's heads. But we have just made tremendous progress over the last year, putting together a business plan, getting a little bit of startup funding. And just this past week, we had a big moment where we were able to welcome back our first buffalo. And so that was really, really a special moment in the start of a lot to come, we think. And so I'm really excited for me personally, it's an honor to be a part of a project that means so much to so many people, and to know that this is something that has been kind of thought about and dreamed about for decades, and now is becoming a reality is really awesome. And so so Wolokotta and Matt's program will be kind of working together, and we've already started a pilot program, which is a super cool aspect of this project, where we're going to be piloting a community herd share. And so what that means is that Matt's team, they're going to be able to purchase a share of the herd, which means they have kind of partial ownership of some of the animals, and they'll be able to harvest 2 animals per year so that they can feed the students and families of their Lakota immersion school. So, that's the education initiative this year started a language immersion school. And so to be able to provide that buffalo meat to those students is kind of a really awesome example of kind of how this project, Wolokotta, is really community-based and community-focused. And so I am seeing a couple questions here. So I see that someone asked if we hope to eventually see collaboration with other tribes. So for Wolokotta, the answer is absolutely yes. We actually, last week at our event, we had someone from Pine Ridge who was over, and she was there to kind of document the event and take part. And then I saw her on Facebook the next day trying to be like, hey, we can do this, we can go bigger. So I know Pine Ridge and Rosebud have always had that little bit of rivalry. And so we definitely hope that what we're doing will inspire somebody to go even bigger. So both from kind of a, yes, we hope that this idea can plant the seed, but also we hope that kind of the partnerships that we're building can build a roadmap for other tribes to be able to follow through. And so, it's definitely something that we're working on. Again, there's a lot of different groups doing this similar type of work. And so being able to bring all that knowledge together to figure out the right path forward is definitely something that's a priority for us. And Matt, I saw there was another question up above as well.
Yeah, I can read that one. It says, one of the challenges I have seen with mobile markets is getting people to show up to shop. How do you choose your market site and how do you advertise? Really good question. This year is definitely slow for us. We're kind of experiencing the same thing as well. So I'd like to think that it just takes consistency. For us, I think in our community is like a lot of people need that consistency to build that trust. When we started out with just our regular farmers market, we, had the same problem. We had 1 or 2 vendors and hardly anybody showing up to buy the produce. So I just think it takes that consistency. And then for us in choosing our market sites, we were able to meet with different community governments. So each of our communities has like a government body, and they have their community building in each community. So we work with them to develop, what day to go on and then what time. And so we're kind of setting shop up at their, right outside their community buildings. And for advertising, definitely through Facebook, trying to get the younger generation, but for the older crowd as well, using radio. I think it's very underutilized, so definitely using that. Funny story too, flyers. One time we put a flyer on some of the res dogs that came by or visited us and put them in their collars, and they went back home, and someone actually came by and saw the flyer off the dogs and bought some coffee from us. So I thought that was really cool.
Never heard that story. So kind of as we're winding down a little bit, just wanted to mention, these two different programs, at the end of the day, they might be separate, but we're very much working together in that way. And so I kind of hinted at this earlier, but this regenerative farming and agriculture is an aspect where we think that we can really be leaders regionally. And so I want to give a quick shout out that we are currently actually hiring for an agricultural manager and planner to lead that effort over the next, hopefully generations to come. And so kind of figuring out a way to scale up Matt's program, introduce some commercial aspects on that side. So we are definitely growing quite a bit. And Matt, maybe you can talk a little bit about the recent kind of success you've had and what the future looks like for the Food Sovereignty Initiative.
Yeah, for sure. So this year we were recently named a finalist for the Rockefeller Foundation's Food System Vision Prize. And so that was a global challenge asking different organizations and community to develop a sustainable food vision for the year 2050. We were one of 1,300 applicants worldwide who applied back in, I believe, January. And then we were asked to go on to the second round. We were one of 76 then. And then recently, in this past August, we were named one of the 10. So we share that recognition with people across the world who've gotten this Food System Vision Prize, and it's awesome to see like us, Rosebud, of all places, we're such a small community compared to the larger world. But our vision for Rosebud, a regenerative, independent, and healthy food system was chosen. So right now we are, further developing our vision. We're in what's called an accelerator phase. So it's like a really intensive 11-week program where we are working to develop a 3-year action plan, a communication plan, and a stakeholder plan as well. So this is all part of our larger 7-gen plan, which is a 175-year plan for Sicangu prosperity. And it's not just food as well, it's like energy, education, health, but the food is just one piece of it. And like I said, that we are using food as like the key to start the rest of this other work. So within our vision, we have everything for the first generation plan for food anyways. So we're really excited to see where this goes, and we're really excited to get this work done. So
yeah, for sure. And I think as far as Wolokotta goes, to talk a little bit about the future of that, we've been really fortunate to have some really awesome partnerships take place, and so we will be receiving buffalo from the Department of the Interior, the National Park Service, Fish and Wildlife, the federally managed herds over the next decade through their bison conservation initiative. And so it's awesome to see that partnership and the recognition of some of the leadership that tribes are showing right now, not just in food and ag, but also in conservation and environmental kind of protections. And I think that really ties back to everything that we do as a tribally chartered entity and as a community-based Lakota organization. Those values are at the heart of everything that we do. And so we appreciate the opportunity to be able to share some of the solutions that we're putting forward that are grounded in that knowledge and wisdom of the generations before us. And so just as we're wrapping up, and then Matt, I'll leave it to you for some final words, but really would appreciate a follow on Facebook. Sicangu CDC Facebook page is where you can stay up to date on those types of things. We've got a blog and email and things like that, so you can sign up for that on our website at sicanguscdc.org. And just share our story, let people know we're hiring and we're growing constantly. And so folks who are in the area or even just interested in getting involved in the work, love to talk more about you. And then of course, none of this work can happen without the funds behind it. And so, really appreciate any support that you're able to offer today and going forward. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Matt to close us out.
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you so much to Growing Culture for, inviting us on here. Such a great platform, to share our story, but also to hear other people's stories. And, all this work is really inspiring. And for me, I just, feel so, honored and privileged to be doing this work. So, I'm excited to see where everyone else grows, and we're happy to, provide any support that we can as well. So from there, I'll just, say, thank you. And we're really looking forward to hear the rest of the speakers today. So thanks.